Have you ever felt your heart start racing for no reason, your palms sweating, your voice shaking, even when nothing dangerous is happening? You're standing there, maybe before a presentation, maybe before a conversation, maybe before an opportunity that could change your life, and suddenly, your body feels like it's under attack. Your chest tightens, your thoughts scatter, you feel exposed, small, uncertain. But here's the real question. What if the enemy is not the situation? What if the enemy is inside you? Nervousness feels like something that happens to you, like a storm that arrives without permission. But it doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. It is created in the mind. And what is created in the mind can be trained by the mind. Most people spend their whole lives trying to avoid nervous situations. They avoid speaking up. They avoid leadership. They avoid risk. They avoid growth. And slowly, without realizing it, they shrink their world. Not because they are incapable, not because they are weak, but because they never learned what nervousness really is. Your brain has one primary job: keep you alive. That's it. Thousands of years ago, that racing heart meant a predator was near. That surge of adrenaline meant you had to run or fight. Back then, fear saved lives. But today? There is no predator in the meeting room. There is no lion in the interview. There is no physical danger in expressing your opinion. Yet your brain reacts the same way. It does not understand modern threats. It cannot tell the difference between a tiger and a crowd of people watching you speak. It only detects risk. And to your primitive brain, social rejection feels like death. Judgment feels like exile. Failure feels like survival loss. So it pulls the alarm, and the alarm feels real. The problem is not the alarm. The problem is that you believe it. You interpret the racing heart as weakness. You interpret the shaking hands as failure. You interpret the fast breathing as proof that you are not ready. But what if it's the opposite? What if that surge is power? What if your body is not sabotaging you, but preparing you? Think about it. When your heart beats faster, blood flows quicker. Oxygen increases. Your senses sharpen. Your muscles activate. Your system is charging. It is not shutting down. It is powering up. Nervousness is not a sign that you cannot handle the moment. It is a sign that the moment matters. And here is where most people lose. They try to escape the feeling. They resist it. They fight it. They say, "I don't want to feel this." And resistance creates more tension. More tension creates more fear. And the cycle grows stronger. Psychology shows us something powerful. The more you try to suppress an emotion, the stronger it becomes. The brain does not respond well to force. It responds to interpretation. You don't control the first signal of fear, but you control the meaning you attach to it, and meaning changes everything. Two people can stand in the same situation. One feels terror, the other feels excitement, the same heartbeat, the same adrenaline, the same physical response. The only difference is the story they tell themselves. One says, "I'm going to embarrass myself." The other says, "This is my moment." Your nervous system cannot tell the difference between fear and excitement. They are chemically almost identical. The label you choose determines the experience you live. This is the silent enemy, not the feeling, not the situation, but the unconscious story running in your mind. From childhood, many people are conditioned to fear mistakes, to fear judgment, to fear standing out. Every time you were laughed at, every time you were criticized, every time you were told to be careful, your brain recorded it. It built a protection system. That protection system now activates any time you step into growth. Growth feels dangerous to a mind that wants safety. But safety is not where greatness lives. If you want to live small, stay comfortable. Avoid the feeling, stay invisible. But if you want to become strong, if you want to walk into any room with calm power, if you want to speak without your voice trembling, then you must understand this truth. Nervousness is not your enemy. Misunderstanding it is. The moment you stop fighting the sensation, the moment you stop labeling it as weakness, the moment you see it as energy waiting to be directed, everything changes. You stop running, you start mastering, and this is just the beginning, because by the end of this journey, you will understand exactly how to rewire your mind so that nervousness no longer controls you. You will learn how to step into pressure and feel steady, how to walk into uncertainty and stay centered, how to transform fear into fuel. Stay with this, because what you're about to learn will not just reduce nervousness, it will change the way you see yourself forever. Why does the mind betray you at the exact moment you need it the most? Why does your body seem to have its own agenda, turning a simple situation into a storm of anxiety? The answer lies in how the brain is wired, in the ancient programming that governs your reactions without your conscious permission. Understanding this is the key to mastering nervousness, because when you know the mechanism, you gain the control. Your brain is a survival machine. It is designed to detect threats and react instantly. Millions of years ago, this instinct saved lives. A rustle in the grass could mean a predator. The brain's job was to signal danger immediately. Fast heartbeat, sweaty palms, rapid breathing. Every reaction was critical. Today, the same system is still active, but the threats are mostly social, emotional, or professional. And yet, the brain reacts as if your life is on the line. This is why even harmless situations, like speaking in front of people, meeting someone new, or taking a crucial test, trigger the same fight-or-flight response. The brain does not distinguish between physical danger and social risk. To it, embarrassment, judgment, or failure feels like death. And because it is automatic, you feel powerless. But here is the secret. The brain does not know the difference between truth and imagination. It reacts to what it perceives, not what is real. Every fear you experience is rooted in perception, not reality. Your brain is predicting danger, often based on past experiences, assumptions, and stories you tell yourself. If someone once laughed at you for speaking up, the brain records it as a lesson. Speaking is dangerous. If you were criticized for trying and failing, it registers failure as risk. These experiences create a mental map of threats. The next time you face something similar, the alarm system goes off, even if there is no real danger. Nervousness, therefore, is not random. It is a signal that your brain is misinterpreting the moment. It is responding to a prediction, not the present reality. And psychology teaches us that predictions can be retrained. Your brain is highly adaptive. Every thought you think, every experience you have, every response you practice shapes the neural pathways inside your mind. These pathways determine how you react under pressure. The more you repeat a pattern, the stronger it becomes. The more you ignore or resist, the more power the fear gains. Now, imagine the most confident people you know. They are not naturally fearless. They do not feel a void where fear should be. They feel the same signals as everyone else: racing heart, tight chest, sweaty palms, but they respond differently. Why? Because their brain has been trained to interpret these signals as tools, not threats. They have chosen the meaning of the moment, and that choice transforms the experience entirely. Your brain does not care about excuses. It will obey the instructions you give it. If you repeatedly tell yourself, "I can't handle this," it will find ways to prove it. But if you consistently affirm, "I am capable of this," and take action despite discomfort, the brain rewires itself to support that belief. This is not wishful thinking. It is neuroscience in action. The mind responds to repeated signals, not hope. Every moment of nervousness is an opportunity. It is the body's way of saying, "This matters. Pay attention, rise to the occasion." When you stop labeling the feeling as weakness, the energy becomes usable. It can sharpen your focus, enhance your presence, and drive performance. The faster your heart beats, the more alive you become. The stronger the tension, the more alert your senses. When you redirect this energy, nervousness becomes a tool rather than a chain. Exposure is one of the most effective ways to train your brain. Avoidance reinforces fear, while facing discomfort gradually changes the perception of risk. Small steps matter. Each time you confront a situation that triggers nervousness, your brain records a new outcome. I survived. I can handle this. Over time, the neural pathways of fear weaken, and pathways of calm and confidence grow stronger. This is the brain learning through experience. Physiology also plays a critical role. The brain and body are interconnected. A tense posture signals danger to the mind. Rapid, shallow breathing signals panic. But a calm body sends the opposite message. Slow, deep breaths, a steady stance, and relaxed muscles tell the brain, there is no immediate threat. You are in control. By managing your physical response, you influence the emotional response. The science is clear, the body leads, and the mind follows. Focus is another lever you can use. Nervousness thrives when attention is self-centered. Worries about judgment, failure, or embarrassment amplify the signal. But when focus shifts outward, toward helping, serving, or contributing, the fear loses intensity. The brain interprets the shift as purpose, not threat. Attention is power. Where it goes, energy flows. Preparation, combined with action, neutralizes uncertainty. Uncertainty feeds fear because the mind hates unknowns. Every rehearsal, every study, every small step forward reduces ambiguity and builds automatic confidence. Habits replace hesitation. Skills replace doubt. Action, repeated over time, changes the neural patterns that once reinforced nervousness. Finally, acceptance is transformative. Fear often grows because people resist the worst-case scenario. What is the worst that could happen? Most fears are imagined exaggerations. Once accepted, they lose their power. The mind calms when it stops fighting shadows. The nervous energy becomes a companion, not a jailer. Understanding why your brain reacts the way it does is the first step toward mastery. Nervousness is not a sign of weakness. It is a natural response, misinterpreted by an untrained mind. When you see it as energy, when you interpret it as preparation, when you face it deliberately, it loses control over you. The moment you realize this, everything shifts. You are no longer a victim of your mind. You are the architect of your response. From here, the journey continues. The next step is learning to transform these automatic reactions into conscious choice, turning every surge of fear into a signal to rise, act, and thrive. Mastering this principle will not just reduce nervousness, it will redefine how your mind responds to pressure forever. Have you ever noticed that the very energy that makes you feel nervous is the same energy that can make you unstoppable? Most people see nervousness as a curse, as something to suppress or escape. They believe that trembling hands, a racing heart, or a knot in the stomach are signs of weakness. But in truth, nervousness is not the enemy. It is power, waiting to be redirected. The difference between fear that paralyzes and energy that propels comes down to interpretation. When understood and harnessed correctly, what you call nervousness can become your greatest ally. Think about it. The body does not know that the danger is imagined. The surge of adrenaline, the heightened senses, the tension in muscles, all of it is a message. The brain is telling you, prepare, focus, rise. That intensity you feel is pure energy, and energy is neutral. It is neither positive nor negative. Only your mind assigns a label to it. You call it fear. You call it anxiety. But it could just as easily be excitement, alertness, readiness, and the moment you choose that label, your experience changes. Imagine the strongest athletes, performers, or leaders. They all feel pressure. They all feel the spike in their nervous system before a critical moment. The difference is never the absence of emotion. It is the ability to channel it. The trembling hands become tools for precision. The racing heart becomes fuel for focus. The heightened alertness becomes clarity in decision-making. Every sign of nervousness is a signal that your body is activated, prepared to perform, waiting for direction. Psychology teaches us that the mind often confuses intensity with danger. When energy rises, the brain searches for a reason to justify it. If you tell yourself, "I can't do this," the intensity becomes fear. If you tell yourself, "This is my chance," the intensity becomes power. The physical sensations remain the same. The difference lies entirely in the story you attach to them. Understanding this is critical because it gives you choice. You no longer need to be a passive observer of your own body. You can decide how energy flows. Every nervous moment carries potential. Consider the adrenaline spike as a gift, not a threat. That rapid heartbeat, that tension, that restlessness, they are signals that your mind and body are fully engaged. They are not evidence of weakness. They are evidence that you are alive, that you care, that the situation matters. And when you see it this way, the fear loses its grip. The shaking hands can be steadied by purpose. The knot in your stomach can be transformed into focus. Every physical cue that once intimidated you becomes a tool for action. This is why the most effective people never fight nervousness. They do not try to remove it. They do not seek to calm the mind first. They accept the energy, acknowledge it, and redirect it. The nervousness becomes fuel, not a barrier. Every challenge they face is approached with this mindset. Energy is not the enemy, it is the instrument. And mastery lies in learning to play it well. The brain responds to repetition. The more you interpret nervous energy as danger, the more it reinforces the fear response. But the more you interpret it as power, the stronger the association with capability becomes. Each moment of exposure, each choice to act despite the discomfort, rewires the mind. The energy once feared becomes instinctive strength. Your nervous system begins to signal readiness instead of alarm. What once froze you now moves you forward. The body itself can guide this transformation. Tension is stored in muscles, shallow breathing limits oxygen, and rapid thoughts scatter focus. By intentionally controlling posture, slowing breath, and grounding attention, the energy shifts from chaotic to controlled. Nervousness, instead of overwhelming you, sharpens your senses and enhances performance. Science proves that the body can lead the mind into calm focus. The energy is still present, but it becomes usable rather than disruptive. Focus is also crucial. Nervousness amplifies when attention is internal. Thoughts about judgment, mistakes, and self-doubt intensify the physical sensations. But when focus moves outward, toward purpose, contribution, or action, the mind stops feeding fear. The energy that once spiraled into panic becomes aligned with intention. Anxiety becomes alertness. Uncertainty becomes opportunity. Fear is still there, but it no longer controls the narrative. Small, deliberate steps magnify this effect. Every situation that once triggered intense nerves is a chance to practice this shift. Speak in public. Ask the question. Make the pitch. Take the risk. Each action strengthens neural pathways associated with courage and control. Repetition builds mastery. The brain begins to anticipate capability rather than catastrophe. What once was a threat becomes a platform. Acceptance is another key principle. Fighting nervousness creates resistance. Resistance amplifies intensity. But accepting the energy as a natural part of the experience removes the friction. Instead of struggling against the body, you guide it. Instead of fearing the emotion, you channel it. This acceptance does not mean complacency. It means acknowledging reality while maintaining control. The nervous energy is not denied. It is directed. Finally, remember that nervousness is a signal of importance. The moments that matter most will always trigger it. The heart racing, the hands trembling, the chest tightening, these are not flaws. They are indicators that the moment carries weight, that your presence matters, that your actions can have impact. The nervousness is the body's way of preparing you for greatness. Recognize it, embrace it, channel it, transform it. When you begin to see nervousness not as a weakness but as a tool, everything changes. You are no longer at the mercy of your emotions. Every challenging moment becomes an opportunity to convert energy into action. Every spike of adrenaline becomes a signal that you are ready to perform. Nervousness, once feared, becomes your advantage. The secret lies not in eliminating the feeling. It lies in mastering it, in transforming it, in understanding that the body's alarm system is also the body's power system. When you direct that energy toward purpose, it amplifies your focus, heightens your awareness, and sharpens your execution. What once threatened to hold you back now propels you forward. This is the essence of nervousness as misplaced energy. The moment you stop resisting and start channeling, you reclaim control. You turn fear into fuel, pressure into preparation, chaos into clarity. Every time the heart races, every time the palms sweat, you are not weak. You are activated, ready, alive. And that activation, once understood, becomes the key to unstoppable performance in every situation. Have you ever wondered why some people walk into any situation and seem completely unshakable, as if nothing can touch them? You might look at them and think they are naturally fearless, born with a special kind of confidence that others can only admire. The truth is far more interesting. Confident people are not without fear. They feel nervousness just like everyone else. Their hearts beat fast before important moments. Their minds spin with questions. Their bodies respond with tension. What separates them from others is not the absence of fear, it is what they do with it. The first thing to understand is that confidence is a choice, not a trait. It is not a gift handed out to a lucky few. It is built through consistent action, through small decisions to face discomfort over and over again. Each step taken in spite of fear strengthens the mind and body, creating a pattern. The brain begins to associate high-pressure situations not with danger, but with opportunity. Over time, the body stops overreacting. The racing heartbeat is no longer a warning, it is a signal to act. The hands may still tremble, but the mind is steady. Confident people have learned to separate feeling from action. They feel the same fear, the same uncertainty, the same surge of energy, but they do not allow it to dictate behavior. Fear is acknowledged, not ignored. It is observed, not resisted. This subtle shift transforms the experience. Nervousness becomes a tool instead of a cage. The body provides energy, and the mind gives direction. What once felt overwhelming is now manageable because they have practiced the art of response instead of reaction. Observation shows another pattern. Confident individuals focus on control rather than comfort. They know that every situation that triggers nervousness is an opportunity to practice mastery. They embrace the pressure, understanding that growth and anxiety are inseparable. The more they expose themselves to moments that challenge them, the less power fear has over time. Each experience rewires the brain to expect success rather than anticipate failure. This is not luck. It is deliberate conditioning of the mind and body. Psychology supports this approach. The amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear, reacts to perceived threats. If it is constantly told that a situation is dangerous, it keeps firing, producing stress hormones and creating physical tension. But with repeated exposure, the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for reasoning and decision-making, can override the fear response. Confident people train this process through action, discipline, and conscious choice. They show the brain that risk does not equal harm. This rewiring is what allows them to remain calm under pressure. Another critical difference is mindset. Confident people see mistakes as feedback, not failure. They understand that judgment from others does not define their worth. They interpret nervousness as a signal of preparation and importance, rather than a reason to retreat. By reframing the experience, they redirect the energy from fear into focus. They channel what could have been anxiety into clarity, decisiveness, and impact. Every heartbeat, every surge of adrenaline, every flutter in the stomach becomes a compass pointing toward action. Preparation amplifies this effect. Those who seem naturally confident rarely rely on improvisation alone. They prepare thoroughly, practice deliberately, and anticipate challenges. This preparation creates a foundation that allows them to act even when nervousness rises. The mind recognizes the readiness, and the body responds with controlled energy rather than uncontrolled panic. This is why confident people can perform consistently in high-pressure situations. They have trained both brain and body to operate in alignment. Another secret of confidence is focus. Instead of turning inward and worrying about what others think, confident individuals turn outward. They concentrate on the task, the goal, or the contribution. The energy that could have fueled anxiety is now directed toward purpose. Attention is no longer scattered across fears. It is concentrated on what matters. This focus quiets the mind, stabilizes the body, and allows them to act with calm precision. Fear loses its voice because attention no longer listens to it. Control of physiology also plays a role. Confident people regulate their breathing, posture, and movement to reinforce mental stability. A calm stance, deep, steady breaths, and measured movements signal the brain that everything is under control. This interplay between body and mind strengthens composure. Nervousness remains present, but it no longer hijacks behavior. The body becomes a partner in confidence, supporting decisions, actions, and presence.